In this video, we're going to create a performance monitor for our games, which can help you track metrics like FPS or memory usage and draw calls in real time. So just some quick setup. I do have a theme here, which is just a font that I've chosen and the font size, nothing crazy. I will link all of the font files and any assets in the description. And we are going to just do one quick thing in our project settings here. We're just going to do one quick thing in our project settings here, and we're going to have a toggle performance input mapping, which I'm just going to put on F3, which is going to allow us to toggle the visibility of the performance metrics. So this should be relatively quick, but we're going to create a new scene here. We're just going to call it the performance monitor. And we want to change the type here. We're going to do a canvas layer, and we're going to create a panel container child node. We're going to create a panel container child node. We can rename this to the stats container. And as a child of that, we're going to have a VBox container, which we will call our stats display. And then beneath that, we are going to have 4 labels. So let's duplicate these. We're going to have an FPS label. We are going to have a memory label. We are going to have an objects label. And lastly, we're going to have a draw label. I'm going to select all these and just add my theme to this real quick. You don't need to do a theme. I just like the way that this works, or I just like the way that this looks a little bit better, but you can just use the standard Godot formatting. It's really not a big deal for this tutorial. We're going to programmatically fill all of the text here, but if you just want to see what this looks like, we can just tap in FPS. We'll put 100. So this is what this is going to be looking like with my formatting and the theme that I've created. So let's add a script to this, and we can get rid of just these comments. We're going to need both the ready and the process. We can give this a class name for now. And we're going to need onReady variables for the stats container and then all of the labels. We're not going to need any other variables, but we're going to need 2 other methods that we're going to create, which are going to be the format memory, which will take in bytes, which is going to be a float. And we're going to return a string. And then lastly, we are going to need to get access to our input, since we are going to use that to toggle the visibility. We can actually handle that first. It's going to be really simple. So we're just going to check if the event is action pressed, and we're going to do toggle performance here. And then we just go to our stats container dot visible is going to equal to not stats container dot visible. So we're just going to use that as our toggle on the visibility there. In our ready method, we want to make sure that the process mode here is on always. So we're going to do our process mode to process mode always. And that's all that we're going to have to do in there. And now we'll move to the process where we're going to actually update the labels so that we can show these performance metrics. So let's handle the FPS label first. And we're going to do the text of that. It's going to be equal to do FPS. And then we're going to do some string formatting, which is going to be this %1F. And then in parentheses, still inside of our string, we're going to do process. And we're also going to do some string formatting here, where we're going to do the %2F and then ms for milliseconds. Then we need to add another %, and we have to actually get the metrics that we want to pass in to this string. So we're going to create a list here, and the first one that we're going to get, we go into the performance. We're going to get monitor, and we're going to get the performance dot time FPS, comma, we're going to do our performance, get the monitor again, and in this one we're going to get the performance and the time process. But we're also going to multiply this by 1000 so that we can convert this to milliseconds. So let's save that, and we can actually go in and drag this performance monitor into one of our scenes, and we can actually see this in action. So let's go play this. So there we go. We can actually see the FPS tracking right now, as well as the process time. And I think FPS is probably something that everyone is familiar with, but the process time is going to show how long each frame is taking in milliseconds. All right, so let's go back to the script and let's go update the rest of these labels. And I will explain what each label is going to be doing after we completely type this out. So let's just get the text on the memory label, and we're going to have this equal to, we're going to do memory. Again, we're going to do the %s, and then we're going to do %. We're going to do our format memory, and then we pass in the performance. We're going to get the monitor again, and we're going to give this one the performance memory static. That's all we're going to have to do there. And now that we have this format memory, let's go actually build this one out. And this is what we're going to use to format the bytes that we're passing in to either be displayed as bytes, kilobytes, or megabytes. So we're going to check in here if the bytes are less than 124. Then we're going to return a string, which is %db, and then we just pass in the bytes. If the bytes are less than 124 times 124, we're going to return in kilobytes. So we're going to do string formatting here, $.1f kb, %, and we're going to pass in bytes divided by 1024. Otherwise, this is going to mean that we're going to pass in the megabytes, or we want to display megabytes. So we will return here %1f MB, and then %, and then we're going to do our bytes divided by 1024 times 1024. So now we can go see this in action here, and there we go. So that's going to be our memory usage there, which is going to show how much memory our game is using. And if you have any unexpected increases in the memory usage, this might indicate that you're having memory leaks somewhere within your code. Let's go do our objects label here. We're going to have this equal to objects %d. We're going to break this up, and we're also going to pass in the nodes %d resources %d. And then we need to do the % here, and we need to pass in these 3 performance monitors into this array here. So we're going to do performance get monitor. First one is going to be performance.object count. And I'm just going to copy these twice since we're going to have the same structure here. And the second one is going to be the object node count. And the last one is going to be the object resource count. So let's go see this one. I'm going to play the example scene actually, so it's a little bit more interesting. And the objects here are going to tell us the total count of all objects in our game. The nodes will be the number of nodes in our scene tree, and the resources are counting the number of loaded resources like textures, sounds, etc. And the higher these numbers are means the higher your memory usage will be. So let's go get the last one here, which is going to be focused on our draw calls. So let's get the draw label, text, and we're going to set this equal to a similar setup here. Do draw calls, %d, and then we can pass in, let's just copy and paste that right now, except the performance monitor here is going to be render total draw calls in frame. So again, let's go demo this. There we go. So we have 45 draw calls, which is going to show us how many times the engine needs to draw something. So the lower the better is going to be for your performance. Obviously, the more complex your game is going to be, you're going to have higher draw calls or higher resources, but this is just good for you to monitor, and you can maybe try and use these metrics to try and help you figure out if your game is not running smoothly, or potentially something that you can pinpoint as to why it's not running smoothly. We also haven't shown the toggle visibility yet, so now I'm just hitting F3. You can make this go away. Again, F3 and it populate. So nothing too crazy there, but I still think good to have, or you can pop this into an options bar or an options menu inside of your game, however you want to handle it. You also don't necessarily need to have this in game. It could just be for you as you're building out your game. And lastly, let's just get back in here and just as some notes, this is going to be a little bit more talking right now, but 2D games, if you're following along with this, are likely not going to be as performance restricted as any 3D games, so there will be more obvious drops in 3D games. So if you're building a 3D game, you might see this not straight 60 frames per second. But in most 2D games, unless they get really, really complex or really, really large, you don't really have to run the risk of your FPS or anything like that dropping, but it's still good for you to monitor these things. And there are also a ton of other performance monitors that you can look at. I think there are over 30 that Godot has built in, and I will provide a link to those in the description so that you can check those out in the documentation. Or if you control click on any of the ones that we've been working on, you will get to see some of the others. So there are a ton here inside of the monitor here. So if there's any specific ones that you would like to look at, if you're working on a 3D game, there are likely other monitors that you'd want to include. But this should give you a good start for if you would like to actually have a performance monitor in game, and hopefully you found this helpful.